One season to go.
And the Giants will make it to the postseason as the 6th seed.
There was something to prove.
Playoffs, baby, let's go!
Be resilient, be proud, be wild.
Saquon Barkley on a 28-yard burst. Touchdown, Giants!
But if we know one thing, in this league, the past can be a distant memory. Now, our work begins again.
Let's go, let's go, let's go! 2 spot on a hop, on a hop, on a hop, let's go!
The foundation has been built, but it's time to grow. There's a trust, a belief, a togetherness, and a big blue mantra. Smart, tough, dependable. Smart, tough, dependable. 3 words that define us. Only matched by these 4 magical words. Giants football is back.
Welcome to the season debut of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford, the official vehicle of the New York Giants. I'm Bob Popper. We're going to get you set for the Giants and Cowboys Sunday Night Football at MetLife Stadium. A lot to come on the program. We'll hear from Sean O'Hara and Amani Toomer, plus Paul Dottino and Madeline Burke will join us, and Carl Banks will go to the coach's tape and identify some key matchups with strategy. Plus, Coach and Carl Banks are going to go into the film room as well, so you don't want to miss that with building blocks. But we welcome in the head coach of the New York Football Giants, Brian Daboll. And Coach, a lot of excitement leading up to this week's game against the Dallas Cowboys, but planning it for months. How do you manage the excitement level around your football team?
Yeah, I think you just go back to the process of what we need to do during the week to get ready to play a game. You understand that, it's game 1 and it's week 1 of the NFL season. There's a lot of excitement. But you really got to take care of the business you need to take care of during the week to make sure that you're prepared to go on Sunday night.
Coach, your team got a lot faster in the offseason coming into training camp. And, obviously, the more tools an offensive coach has, the more flexible he can be. We knew the margin of error was slim with the way things played out last year, and you still have to have that. But do you feel more flexibility with the speed that you have on offense now? Yeah,
I think the additions that we've made, they've come in, they've done a good job, they've worked hard. Again, I think Kafka and the rest of the offensive staff have really done a good job of moving guys around and seeing, what some of their strengths are, and then kind of eliminating some of the stuff that maybe they don't do as well. So, we got a bunch of guys. We're working on putting them in the right spots, and then ultimately they got to go out there and, function at a high level.
Coach, one of the big acquisitions was the acquisition of Darren Waller via trade. As you went through the offseason program with him, training camp, preseason games, what jumped out about him that surprised you maybe?
Yeah, really, I didn't have any preconceived notions of what he was as a person. As a player, you could see it on tape, but the ultimate pro. He's done a fantastic job in our building, not just within the tight end room, but I'd say offense and really team in terms of his leadership. And then his skill set, I think, over the years speaks for itself. We've used him in a variety of roles. As much as he can handle, we'll give to him. But he's done a nice job for us since he's been here.
The team has also added some key defensive players, and then an additional guy just last week in Simmons. And that, again, you had areas that needed to be addressed. Now you have those. Can you talk a little bit about probably having more speed defensively and more stability in some areas?
Yeah, that was something obviously we set out at the end of the season, was to improve our team's speed all the way around. Now, how that translates to on the field, they have to play fast and know what to do, and I think that's the big thing. They have the talent to do it. Now they have to know what to do and let it loose and play fast. But Isaiah was a guy that just played multiple roles. We can move him in a variety of spots, and it's just a matter of how much he can, pick up here in the next week here to be ready to go. So he's done a good job since he's been here. Bobby Okereke is another one that's added some speed to the second level of the defense. And then some of the young players we've drafted have stood out in terms of their athleticism and their ability to run.
One more young player on the other side of the ball, John Michael Schmitz, who seems to have absorbed a lot of stuff. Now, he'll be under fire against the Cowboys on Sunday night, but can you just describe to the audience the progress that you've seen him make over this course of time?
Yeah, he's done a good job. I'd say really all our rookies came in with a great mindset, and he's certainly one of them. He's put his head down. He's really, taken under the wing by the veterans, and Bobby and Chris Smith have done a good job with him. But he's a guy that you go pop your head in the quarterback room, and DJ's always there, but now he's starting to come along, and you see him in there sitting with DJ, and that happens quite a bit with those two. So that's that's an encouraging thing for a young player to grab hold of the veterans, and he kind of listens twice as much as he speaks, which is a good thing during the week. But when he's on the field, he's done a good job of orchestrating things and using his voice.
We're just getting started on the program. Coach and Carl are going to go to the film room for the building block segment, and Coach will join us at the end of the show as well. We'll talk a little Cowboys. Just getting started with the season debut of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford.
Let's go. Get to where you're supposed to go. Let's go. On a hop, on a hop, on a hop. Let's go. Good communication today now. Good communication. Lot of juice, lot of juice, lot of juice. You do have a nice haircut. I do like it. You got to lose a little bit more.
Take a little more on top?
Yeah, if you're going to be like me, you might have to take it all off.
How you doing? Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
How about 19 penalties yesterday, huh? First one?
Yeah.
Man, I hope we don't have that on ours.
I know.
This is how we do it. If you call a penalty today and throw a flag, I want you to sit and do that. I wanted you to do that dance right there. I high-five myself when I tie my shoe in the morning. Sack! Sack! Put it on the 6. 4th down and goal. Touchdown. Oh, nice play. Nice play, you two. Good execution, that's all. One play at a time. Hey, good work day. A lot of good situational stuff to learn from. You guys work well together. Let's go in there, get our together, and learn from the film. Okay, McLeod.
That was good today. You were great. That was good today. That was a good day.
It was a good day.
Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show. Coach, it's time to get smarter. Take us through some of the things you liked in the preseason that takes us into this game.
Sure. The first thing we'll talk about here is our kickoff team. This was after, Pinnock's interception where we only got 3 from the offensive side, but we come out here and Graham's getting ready to kick it off. We're in a 5-by-5, obviously, and you never know what's going to happen now with this new kickoff rule. So we were kicking it short to see how our guys covered, to get a look at them in the preseason. And again, a standout for us last year in the kicking game in terms of doing what he was supposed to do and being effective was Cam Brown, number 47 right here. So he's the R5 on our kickoff team, and you can see he's one of the first guys down here. We do a good job of really setting the edge at the 1 and the 2 spot, and Cager's got a two-way go where we're wrapping 41 back around. That allows Cam to go ahead and defeat his block, which, I'd say there wasn't much resistance there, but does a good job of slicing through there and getting him before the 25.
But when you look at how the runner was funneled into one direction, you can just see there wasn't a lot of room to come back over to his right, because the way Cam Brown's lane integrity is, he's there and then he's off to Cam's right.
That's right. And we're setting the edge right here with McFadden looping back around, giving Cager a two-way go, and Cam does a good job of really setting it up on a wiggle. You can see him get the defender to move his feet, or the offender in this case, to move his feet. He does a great job of kind of shaking him to this direction and then cutting back through and making a big play inside the 25 for us. All right, so this is our defense, same game, and really the first play of the game. So we got tight man-to-man coverage on all 3 receivers. We got an extra rat player inside with the linebacker and also with the post safety. So everybody's kind of locked on traditional cover 1. He's got the tight end. As most football plays start and end, it starts at the line of scrimmage. So obviously they came out looking to try to take a shot. See the quarterback kind of holding the post safety to keep him in the middle of the field there, knowing that he wants to come back down to this side on the go route. And this is all kind of works together. We really do a good job of staying really in phase with this guy and getting him down to the numbers, which now creates less of a space for this safety to get to. Whether if he was out here to the sideline, the safety's got to go a little bit more. So if you can look at it from the end zone, which really is why the play was made. It's a good play by Penn, but you can see kind of high hat by the tackle. He's in a 2-point stance. does a great job of swiping with his hands and ripping through and really getting thin so he doesn't get pushed by the quarterback, which is one of the worst places to be on the football field, and ends up just finishing the play. He hits contact right when he's throwing the ball, which with the inside release of the receiver, the hit of the quarterback, this really allows Jay Penn to do his job well. So pretty well executed play, first play of the game, start out fast, good to get a turnover.
Well, Coach, at the end of this route, which obviously this pass was impacted, but the corner, Hawk, he's in a position to intercept this ball.
That's right.
If the safety doesn't come over. So he didn't give up just being good enough.
Yep, that's exactly right.
He's looking to finish this route because he's in great position, and he comes off and tries to play the ball.
No doubt. And if Jay Penn didn't have it, I think Hawk would have got it early on. But, when it all works together, defense is a team game, with the front meshing with the second level, meshing with the third level, it all works together. Let's
take a look at the offense now.
Sure. So this was a Carolina game, and it was the first drive of the game where we drive it down into the red zone. And Waller's outside, lined up as a flanker. Coming in motion, we're under center. Breida's in the backfield. It's a good fake. I'd say low hats by the offensive line. Good ball handling and detail by Daniel with the two hands. Good detail by 31 with the arm up and then the dip down. And then the detail really of Belly right here of not just shedding him too quick so he out-leverages the play is a really important aspect of it. So Daniel does a great job, as you can see, of the fake, and then he gets his eyes around quick onto this defensive end. And this is a lot harder of a throw than what it seems to be just, from the eye on the TV copy. He's got a ball disruptor right in his face, a big, tall guy with two hands up. He's getting his eyes around quick, so he has to make a decision on what he needs to do. Can he get around the edge, or does he have to pull up because he's kind of played this and he's got his hands up? Now, how do I got to deliver the ball to 82? Sometimes it could be a side angle over the top, might have to get a little bit of a jump pass. And here you can see he just kind of gets up off the ground. He's got his elbow up in the air pretty high. His delivery point is high, and you can see the margin of error is, only a couple inches here. But, Daniel's a big, tall quarterback, got good vision and good athleticism to be able to make plays like this. It was a good finish in the red zone.
And to see this level of execution in the preseason certainly gives you confidence going into the season because the field shrinks for everybody. And this is the area where it's either 6 or it's a field goal attempt.
No doubt. Usually a deciding factor in most games in the NFL is production in the red zone, and the teams that can finish with 7 instead of 3, with how close these games are played, it makes a big difference.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it. I think we've become smarter as a result of this.
Got it, Banksy.
We'll be back with more from the Coach Daboll Show.
Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. It's the Giants and Cowboys Sunday Night Football at MetLife Stadium. Time for this week's edition of Head to Head as we turn it over to Paul Dottino and Sean O'Hara.
Okay, so let's go head to head for the Giants opener against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Sean, we will start things off with Trayvon Diggs against Isaiah Hodgins. Now, Diggs only had 3 interceptions last year, but yet it was his second straight Pro Bowl appearance. And in 6 career games against the Giants, well, in 3 of them, he's had picks. The Giants know this guy is very crafty.
I think he's got great instincts. Obviously he's a great player. He's a vet, so, he's seen a lot. He goes against the best all the time. So he's definitely an instinctual player. He's got great athleticism and length, speed. So we got to do a good job of just being detailed on our routes and being detailed with the chemistry on every play.
So many people in this locker room have talked about the comfort in year 2 of the system. How do you believe you are going to be a better receiver this year? Will we see more catches, more yards per catch, more touchdowns? Yeah. Where do you think that's going to surface?
Yeah, I feel like it could surface at any moment, and that's just like the beauty of this offense is, Daves and Kafka and Daniel do a great job of getting everybody involved. And, like I've said before, one week it might be one receiver going for 100, and the next week it might be someone else going for 150. We just have a dangerous offense. So I feel like it's at any given time, until then, you sit there and you do what the coaches ask you to do, play your role, and just know that Daniel's got a great arm, so that ball's coming at some point in time, so always be ready.
I'm really looking forward to this matchup for Isaiah Hodgins because I think he has really become Daniel Jones' go-to guy. And I think the routes that he runs are so confident and so precise that Daniel Jones trusts he's going to be exactly at the depth and the location he needs to be. Now, this matchup, Paul, against Trayvon Diggs, the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Trayvon Diggs is how aggressive he plays. He loves to jump routes. He wants to try to create those splashy plays, the turnovers. He has more interceptions and pass breakups than any corner in the league the last 2 seasons. So you know he's going to bite on that. And I think Hodgins knows it, and I think Daniel Jones knows it as well. So the double move could be a very big part of this game for Trayvon Diggs and the Dallas Cowboys defense. I think that one thing that kind of flew under the radar for them last year is they led the league in takeaways. So for the Giants, first and foremost, take care of the football. But I think Isaiah Hodgins has done such a great job in this Giants offense, not just with the big play, but attacking the middle of the field with these crossing routes. Daniel Jones has been extremely accurate with those routes. And you go back and you look at the wild card win that Isaiah Hodgins had. It was his best game as a Giant, 8 catches, 105 yards. He did it against Patrick Peterson. This will be a great matchup to watch.
Yeah, he had a touchdown in that game against Minnesota. And let's not forget, during the course of the regular season, he had touchdowns in 4 of his 8 games as a Giant after he came over from Buffalo, and he only had 1 drop during the course of the season, too. So he was incredibly consistent. Let's go to our second head-to-head matchup, and it's C.D. Lamb of the Cowboys against Adoree Jackson. C.D. Lamb, 2 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances, 2 consecutive seasons of at least 1,000 yards. He's tough to bring down. He's elusive. He's quick. Well, he's a headache for Adoree and company.
I think the quarterback that he has, not disregarding, but him, besides being a great playmaker, great athlete, I think the quarterback and him being on the same page, the same rapport, being able to throw the ball, getting those look in practice, it's like muscle memory in a sense. He knows where he wants to go, and he trusts his receiver instead of anything else. So I think that's why he gets a lot of targets, a lot of catches, and makes a lot of plays.
I have zero doubt that Adoree Jackson is up to the challenge, and my guess is he's probably watching the movie Silence of the Lambs all week long as he leads up to this matchup. Now, the big key here is C.D. Lamb in the slot, all right? Last year, he led the NFL in receiving yards from the slot, and when you look at his production, the first 3 seasons in the NFL, he has more catches and more yards than any Dallas Cowboy receiver in history. So the production is there, Paul, and I think his ability to attack defenses from the slot, and specifically the slot corner, is one of the reasons why the Giants asked Adoree Jackson to move into the slot. I think this is going to be a great matchup to see how does he handle from the slot not being able to be in press coverage. Adoree, when you're outside, you can put your hands on guys. You can press in the slot. There's a little bit more cushion. It's tougher to do that. So I'll be curious to see how he decides to play C.D. Lamb from that capacity. You can see the passes defended by Adoree Jackson right here. So he's aggressive when he needs to be. But I also think he's so smart. He's going to understand when they're trying to attack him with a double move. He's going to understand the route combinations and how they try to move CD around in the offense.
Now, Jackson, of course, will only be in the slot when the Giants are in that 3 cornerback package. Otherwise, he'll be on the boundary opposite Banks. Last year, Jackson played 40 snaps in the slot, which was 12% of his playing time. And in his 4 years in Tennessee before he came to the Giants, he averaged 70 snaps per year in the slot. So it's not all that unfamiliar to him. Well, that'll do it for head-to-head this week. Let's go back to Bob.
Carl, obviously Adoree Jackson's a veteran player. He got a lot of reps playing on the inside. It gives the Giants versatility, but that will be a key matchup with C.D. Lamb.
Yeah, because if C.D. Lamb moves, I suspect Adoree's going to move with him. There are a lot of moving parts, as we know, in this defense. It's a Wink Martindale defense, but he's going to be on the field, and he's going to give their best receiver his attention.
Yeah, and then the rookie corners have to deal with Brandon Cooks, who's an experienced hand, and Michael Gallup, who's been a big play threat before.
Yeah, and leave it to the Dallas Cowboys to create the matchups that they want to try to exploit one of these young rookies. So fundamentals are going to be key. You know, both rookies played good, sound, fundamental preseason football. Now the lights are on and the stakes are high. They've got to commit to those same fundamentals.
Yeah, we saw that in the building block segment a little bit earlier in the show. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, over and under and much more here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Sunday night, it's the Giants and the Dallas Cowboys at MetLife Stadium. Time for Over Under. Here's Madeline Burke with Sean O'Hara and Amani Toomer.
Thanks, Bob. Time now for some over-under presented by the New York Lottery. You guys know the rules. A couple stats throughout the game. Sunday Night Football, Giants, Cowboys, and we'll see if we think that we're going to go over or under, starting, of course, with the Giants' run game. Saquon Barkley, over under 100 yards from scrimmage, Sean.
Yeah, I'll take the over all day long right now. I think Saquon Barkley has over 100 yards rushing, so I'll even go one up on the 100 yards from scrimmage. I think when you look at last year, week 1, Saquon had his biggest rushing game of the season, 164 yards. So I think no doubt about it, they're going to feed him early and often. I'm really curious to see how he impacts this offense as a receiver, because that's a total mismatch. I think Daniel Jones is going to exploit that.
I think one of the reasons why he's going to go over, too, I agree with you, is the fact that when you look at offenses coming into the season, one thing that always translates well is their run game, and I feel like they're going to be a very run-heavy team early on as they get Waller and they get all their new pieces acclimated to this offense.
A couple screens, too. That helps.
Screens, yeah. We'll get some receivers, some balls, you know.
Yeah,
never hurt nobody.
Get him involved in the passing game, too. Let's take overs across the board, because why not? Saquon Barkley, we haven't seen him yet in the preseason, so you know he has been chomping at the bit to get out there running the ball. I'm taking the over as well. All right, over under 44 rushing yards for Daniel Jones. For context, he averaged 44 and a quarter last season, Amani.
I think he's going to go over 44 just because I feel like the quarterback running the football is modern in the NFL. It keeps the defense honest. It keeps them with an extra defender kind of spying a quarterback. I think that's what makes this offense a little bit more diverse, is the fact that we have a quarterback that can not only throw the ball, he can tote that thing a little bit.
Yeah, he can. I'll take the over. I'm with you. I think Daniel Jones is an absolute weapon, and I think that Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka figured it out. We can attack defenses with DJ and his legs. He's going to have some rushing yards that are scrambles because, to your point, the Giants really struggled in the pass protection. They give up 3 sacks to DeMarcus Lawrence in the Week 3 game, 5 sacks in that entire game, and then Micah Parsons became a problem in the second game. So I think Daniel Jones, there will be some scramble yards, but absolutely they're going to have some quarterback design runs. You also throw that on tape, and now other teams have to try to defend that. So DJ's a weapon.
Yeah, I think the quarterback design run is something that is going to be a big part of this, too. Because scramble, sure, yes, absolutely. But we've seen a lot of that so far in training camp and in the preseason. How much will they use that in week 1? On Sunday Night Football, we'll see. All right, lastly, finally, looking at the Giants' defense. Over under 4.5 sacks plus takeaways for the Giants' defense. Sean, what do you think?
I'm going to go under on this one, Matt, and here's why. The Giants have struggled to get pressure on Dak Prescott. The Cowboys, I feel like perennially have one of the best O-lines in the NFL. In 2 games last season, not 1 sack. So I think there could be some turnovers. Dak Prescott was very charitable last year for interceptions. I think they could have a couple of picks, but I think they're going to really struggle with the sacks. They will get some quarterback hits. Dexter Lawrence is going to get some pressure, but the sacks are going to be tough to come by.
I agree with you. The sacks are going to be tough to come by, and to get over 4.5 interceptions, I think that's asking a lot, even with Dak Prescott being very charitable. I'm going to go under as well. I just feel like the defense and the rhythm of a pass rush is going to come along as this new group of people, new group of defenders really get accustomed to what Wink Martindale does. I think it takes a little while for that to kind of gel, and I think they're going to go under.
Well, and you mentioned what Wink Martindale does. His defense schematically isn't really prioritizing the interception, isn't really prioritizing the takeaway in that way. Sometimes they do come, sometimes this does happen, but I'm going to agree. I'm going to say under across the board. Look at us. Week 1, already in agreement.
Simpatico.
Do not expect this to last all season, though. But you know what? This is the team coming in strong to start the season. Week 1, over, under, sending it back to Bob.
Obviously, getting pressure on Dak Prescott's going to be key. Last year, he threw a career-high 15 interceptions. He wants to bring that number down. It's really an important statement game for Ojulari and Thibodeau on the outside, and then whoever else they rotate through.
Yeah, now, keep in mind, the Dallas Cowboys are going to do everything to keep themselves out of those situations that are advantageous for speed rushers. What does that mean? It means they've got to stop the run first. They've got to create third and favorable distances for the defense to get there. Until they can do that, they won't have much of a shot. So they've got to play good first and second down defense.
Yeah, and we're going to, in our next segment, take a look at some things that the Giants must do in order to stop the Cowboys' run. Carl goes to the coach's tape with strategy. That's coming up next here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. It's time for strategy with Carl Banks. And Carl, We're going to get into some X's and O's when you talk about the Giants and the Cowboys. The Giants did not stop the run very well last year, and they're going to see a lot of Tony Pollard this year, including Sunday night.
Well, there'll be a lot of Tony Pollard because they have a coach who loves to run the football. He loves balance. And with the Giants, the key to Tony Pollard is being gap responsible, meaning he's an outside runner, so you think, because he has excellent acceleration, but he can run in between the tackles too. And I'm going to show you two examples of this. This is just an outside toss that goes the distance. Sealed, kick out, and he's gone. What will the Giants have to do on a simple play like this? Well, it all starts with the edge. If you've got a defensive end on a tight end, you cannot surrender the edge. Because what happens, you surrender the edge, boom. Now there's a clear shot, right? And by surrendering the edge, you inadvertently block this guy has an angle, and this guy's going to be too late coming over. So it starts with the edge defenders, and as you can see, you do not want your last line of defense to be this guy versus that guy. So it starts on the edge. Once you get the edge sealed, everything goes back inside and your defense has a chance because Pollard is an accelerating running back.
Yeah, he averaged 5.2 yards per carry, went over 1,000 yards rushing. Carl, this is an example of him running more of a power type play.
Yeah, so now you're running the old basic counter tray. He's offset, and we'll just run this. Boom, everybody blocks down, right? And you got two guys to take on one guy, basically. And we run this, and he's just good footwork, but this guy stops and peeks. Let me just show you. Your fit has to be your fit. Once you're here in this gap. You got a guy who's squeezing it into you. This guy is a waste, right? So you've got two players. Here, he's turning it in, and you've got to be square on your block, and that seals that off. But when you don't do that, there's Pollard, and once he gets to the second level, he's gone. So it's all about gap integrity and playing your responsibility. You can't guess with a guy like Pollard because he just goes. And you can see the inside linebacker here kind of overshoots it. His reads are true. He's a little fast. He should just settle right here. Let this guy go in that hole, and this is where the play will be made. He gets kicked out, and away he goes.
And just that small little space can lead a guy like Pollard into a big play. Now, the Dallas Cowboys have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Up front, you know, they got Micah Parsons, who's a two-time Pro Bowler. DeMarcus Lawrence made the Pro Bowl last year. And we're going to watch these guys in action.
Well, the thing about Micah Parsons is you say, wow, he's a world beater, and that he is. But the guy that you cannot ignore as part of that same success, Bob, is this guy here, number 90. DeMarcus Lawrence, when you watch how they work in tandem, first we'll just say, let's just take a look at Micah Parsons here. Micah Parsons is here on this side of the screen. Let's just watch what he does. Just focus on him. Good speed rusher, relentless. As you can see, runs the corner, steps up, gets the quarterback. Well, how is he able to do that, right? Andrew Thomas did a pretty good job of just kind of running him by the quarterback. The reason he was able to do this, now just watch this guy and how they work together. Chips the tight end, chips the back, he's up the field. So where does Daniel Jones go? He goes here, and that's where Micah Parsons can get him. Bring it back again a little bit. Again, Daniel Jones sees this. He's got to step up. Here's Micah Parsons running the hump, and he's able to make the play because of the teamwork of his teammate.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of sacks last year. Between the two of them, they had 18 sacks combined.
Yeah, it's hard to say one without the other, but they're both great in their own individual right. And here they are here together, and you'll see again how one helps the other. Now, they're running a two-man game here. One guy goes inside, so the tackle wants to pass it off. Now, Parsons has got a lot of attention there. He's got two guys plus another guy looking at him, but Lawrence is all the way up into the quarterback's face, flushes the quarterback, and Parsons is right there.
That's a look at strategy with Carl Banks. A lot more to come on the program when we come back. Above the Numbers with Paul Dottino and Amani Toomer here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Doesn't get better than the Giants and Cowboys on opening week of the season. Sunday Night Football, but the Giants this time have it in MetLife Stadium. Time for Above the Numbers. Here's Paul Dottino and Amani Toomer.
Okay, so let's go above the numbers for the Giants and Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Amani, who's up first?
Bobby Okereke. This is a guy that Wink Martindale was trying to get on the team. This is one of the free agent signings that we got this offseason period. You know, he's a very athletic linebacker, able to go side to side, take on tackles. You're going to be able to be very creative with this type of player because the fact that he does have the speed to go all over the field. He also is a 3-down linebacker. He does not need to come off the field. This is exactly the matchups that are going to help Wink Martindale become a little bit more unpredictable because they're never going to be at a disadvantage with him on the field.
I think that's a really good choice, Amani, because last year he averaged about 9 tackles a game. But you remember when he was with the Colts, he had 17 tackles, a career high against the Giants right here at MetLife Stadium. So he is certainly capable of going above the numbers. I will tell you one number that they'd really like to see more from him, though. In his career, he's only had 2 sacks. And Wink Martindale, blitz-happy guy, you may be seeing Okereke coming on a blitz against the Cowboys a little bit, and maybe he can add to that career sack total.
I think we're counting on that.
Why not? Now, for me, I'm going to go with tight end Darren Waller. Comes over in the trade for a 3rd-round pick from the Raiders. We know that over the last 2 seasons, he's been beset by injuries, but when he's healthy, he is a 2-time 1,000-yard receiver. You know, the Giants in their history have only had 1,000-yard receiving tight end, Mark Bavaro.
Wow.
I think this guy is going to be that guy again for them this year.
Absolutely, and what he brings to this offense, he diversifies it. No longer do we only have to focus on Saquon Barkley. Now we have a bona fide tight end to make defenses be honest towards the middle of the field. They'll take the defender away from the run game, and this offense can really be exciting with that missing piece.
Yeah, he averaged 14 yards a catch. That was a career high last season. Oh, by the way, though, Dallas will be ready. They only gave up 1 receiving touchdown to tight ends last season. That was the second best defensive number in the National Football League. All right, below the numbers, Amani, what do you got?
We got Brandon Cooks. This is a guy who's a journeyman, a career journeyman, but the fact that he's opposite of CeeDee Lamb, it's going to really open CeeDee Lamb up if we don't really limit his touches and limit his ability so that Wink Martindale will have the ability to put more attention on CeeDee Lamb. If he can get off and he can get going, open up the entire defensive secondary, it could be a problem because now you're going to have Lamb and you're going to have Brandon Cooks to deal with. So this is a player who's been productive in a lot of different places because of his speed and because of some of the dynamics that he can bring to a passing game with his route running and his ability to catch and run with the football afterwards.
This is his first year in Dallas. He's been on 5 teams already. Last 3 seasons in Houston. When he was with the Texans last year, only caught 4 passes against the Giants. Didn't even have 60 yards. So they kind of kept him in check. But here's the thing about him. He's got 6,000-yard seasons in his 9 NFL campaigns. And he's averaged 14 yards a catch. This guy is very, very wily, and the Giants need to keep an eye on him. Well, that'll do it for Above the Numbers this week. Let's go back to Bob.
Well, Carl, Darren Waller is one of the first outside receivers that the Giants have had since Odell Beckham Jr., where the other team has to game plan for him. And we saw that in the building block segment. Even on that pass to Bellinger, he occupied 2 people. It'll be fascinating to see how the Giants utilize him and how the Cowboys defend him.
Well, it's just not the Darren Waller impact that the Dallas Cowboys will have to defend. The Giants are a faster offensive team. They're defending something that is a lot faster, appreciably faster than they had to defend last season. So you got Waller and you got Hyatt and you got Campbell and you got Slayton and then you got Barkley. All fast people. So it's Waller who's in and of himself a threat and something that you have to contend with, but they've got to protect themselves, meaning the Dallas Cowboys, from unfavorable situations by giving Waller too much attention.
And if you don't give him enough attention, then he's going to torch you.
Exactly.
Running down the middle of the field. So it's going to be fun to see when these teams square off on Sunday Night Football. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Coach Daboll rejoins us here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Sunday night, Giants and Cowboys in MetLife Stadium. Coach Daboll will rejoin us in just a minute. But first, it's time for Three Things with Madeline Burke.
It's week 1, and as the Giants prepare to host the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, I'm Madeline Burke with 3 things you need to know. Now, this is the 11th time the Giants and Cowboys will open their seasons against each other, but the first time since 2019. But on Sunday Night Football, this will be the 15th matchup. The 14 previous are the most by any 2 teams on Sunday Night Football. Giants running back Saquon Barkley is coming off a career year. He had 1,312 rushing yards in 2022. He'll be facing a Cowboys run defense that ranked 22nd in the league last season, including a familiar opponent, Micah Parsons, his former Penn State teammate, who he saw just last weekend in Happy Valley. And the last time Giants wide receiver Sterling Shepard played an NFL game was Monday Night Football, October 22nd, 2022, against the Dallas Cowboys when he left with an ACL injury. Less than a year later, he's back on the same field against that same opponent for Sunday Night Football. Giants-Cowboys Sunday night at MetLife Stadium. And if you're coming to the game Sunday night, the Giants are launching their Be Giant campaign with a blue out. So arrive early, be loud, and wear blue to support your New York Giants. Back to you, Bob.
Three Things with Madeline Burke each and every week here on the Coach Daboll Show. And Coach rejoins us as we get you set for the Giants and Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Coach, let's talk about this Cowboys team because they're talented across the board. They made the playoffs like your ball club did last year. What are some of the things that jump out at you about Dallas under head coach Mike McCarthy?
Yeah, really all 3 phases, and I think they have a tremendous coaching staff. You know, Coach Schottenheimer, Coach Quinn, and Coach Fossil have done a great job with their respective units. Obviously, Coach McCarthy will be taking over the play calling duties this year, and then, you know, they have a lot of talent in key spots. So they can rush the passer. They do a good job of stopping the run. They have 2 really good cover corners in Diggs and Gilmore. And then on the offensive side, it starts with Dak. He's been a tremendous leader for them. They have a very stout, effective offensive line. CD is as good as they come, and Pollard is a problem in the backfield. So, you know, and then with the additions of Cooks, you know, it's just, you know, the list goes on and on. A very talented group, very well coached, and they've won for a long time.
It's a division game. It's been a while since this team has beat the Cowboys. You've always had a message for the Giant fan base when playing at home.
Yeah.
This is an important one from a fan standpoint. It's one game on the schedule, but if you had to have the fans do one thing on Sunday night.
Yeah, get here early and be loud, you know, particularly when they're on offense, obviously. So, you know, we have tremendous fan support, and I'm sure it'll be that way come Sunday night.
Is it kind of weird looking at the Cowboys and not seeing Ezekiel Elliott? I mean, Pollard had a great year last year. He averaged 5.2 yards a carry. But there is a different look, right? Year to year, teams do change. And even though we know a lot of the names, there's still some changes that you're going to have to deal with.
Absolutely. There's, you know, you don't go from one year to the next in today's NFL and have the same team. So, you know, roughly 30%, maybe a little bit more is different. So, you know, that'll be the challenge for our coaches, for our players, to make sure that they're on these guys and they're studying their strengths and weaknesses. But, you know, most importantly, understanding what we need to get accomplished and how we need to do things, you know, from the classroom to the practice field and ultimately to the game field.
And whether it's Thursday night with the season starting or then with you playing on Sunday night, so there's games being played, it's natural, right? It's opening day. Guys are fired up. How do you manage that first part of the first quarter to make sure that you don't get too high or too low in that phase of the game?
Yeah, that's something that we talk about, you know, not every single day, but, you know, we have a lot of veterans on our team. had the captains talk to the rookies earlier in the week about, what it's like to play in your first game, really from the start to finish, from the start of a preparation week all the way to the end. And, it's football, but there is excitement. I think the fans are excited. The organizations are excited. The teams are excited. The players, the coaches, the staff. It's a great day, opening day in the NFL, and a lot of things can happen on opening day. So the most important thing is to be ready mentally where you're at, whether it's offense, defense, or in the kicking game, and then be able to adjust, because there'll be certain things that happen throughout a game, particularly in the first one, that you're going to have to adjust to.
Coach, we appreciate a couple minutes. Best of luck on Sunday night, and best of luck this season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's the head coach of the New York Giants, Brian Daboll, and this week's game is presented by PNC Private Bank, the official wealth management partner of the New York Giants. Make sure after the game you check out Giants Postgame Live, all recap of the Giants and Dallas Cowboys. So for Coach Daboll, Carl Banks, and our entire crew, I'm Bob Papa. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford.